I would say, just on a personal level, the governor's actions and behavior the last week have been disappointing, to say the least. This is a serious problem. It requires serious actions by all of us to solve these problems. And the governor is not helping the situation by continuing to blame other people for these problems. And it's kind of shocking to me the lengths that he will go to try to blame other people for these problems. So I am here in my office all day. I'll meet with the governor in person. I'll meet with him on the phone, whatever works for him when he's ready to stop blaming people for things falling apart and ready to get to work. I'm certainly here and ready to do that. I will say further that things have fallen apart basically because of the governor's actions, not because of anything that we have done on our side. The governor, the last time we met, December 2nd, less than 2 weeks ago, the governor stood in front of all of you and told you what this was going to look like, how we were going to do this, and then the governor has deviated from that. I authorized my chairs to work with the governor's commissioners to solve the problems within the guardrails that we gave them on that day. And we told you what those guardrails were. I said it, the governor said it. The governor has acted outside of those guardrails. He has thrown things into his proposals that have never been discussed before. He said that it was okay if we took $150 million of cash, or excuse me, $300 million of cash out of the bonding bill, but yet he wants to keep his $300 million worth of projects in the bonding bill. I think it should be a pretty good indicator. If you don't have a way to pay for something, you probably can't do it. And not only on top of does he want to keep every one of those projects, he's throwing new projects in. The governor very obviously does not want a special session. I am told that the union groups are putting a ton of pressure on the governor's office to not have a special session, to not do a tax bill, to not do a bonding bill. I think that's incredibly unfortunate. I think the governor needs to stand up. He needs to live up to his word. He told all of you on December 2nd that he supported those two things and those were going to be part of the special session. He needs to live up to his word, and he needs to actually do what he told me personally he knows is good for Minnesota. So it's time for him to stop blaming and acting childish, and time to start solving problems for Minnesotans. So with that, I will take questions.
Speaker, you're criticizing the governor today for blaming people instead of moving forward, but you guys have been blaming him for the problems.
He created these problems. I'm still waiting for the governor to step up and take responsibility and accountability. Minnesota families are really hurting. We know that. I've talked to so many people who literally they come to tears. They're facing potential bankruptcy, and it's not just that. There's access problems. We've got people that have life-saving cancer treatments at Mayo that literally are arbitrarily going to stop on January 1st because of a deal that the governor negotiated. And we have been begging the governor for months to do something about that. And every time, no, we can't do it. Part of me believes the governor. When the governor says to me, no, we can't implement that, based on his track record over the last 4 years, I believe you, governor. I believe you can't implement anything. You failed so miserably at all of this. But now we have to work together to fix it. And I'm not blaming the governor. I want him to step up, and you know what I'd like him to do is apologize to Minnesotans. He created this mess, and it is ugly. And just throwing a little money at the problem is not going to solve it. The solution that the governor has come up with to give a 25% rebate to Minnesotans, well, yes, that will help them pay for the horrible coverage that some of them may not even be able to buy. It is the absolute least thing that he can do for them. The only thing the state has to do to implement that is write a check, one check. Anything else we have asked the governor to do to solve this problem, and we have been begging him for months, let's find a solution so that people who are getting life-saving cancer treatments at the Mayo Clinic can continue those treatments. Let's make sure that people don't have to drive by 2 or 3 clinics or 2 or 3 hospitals and drive 60 miles or 80 miles or 100 miles to get to somebody that will take their crappy health insurance that you negotiated for them. Let's help these people. Instead, what we get from the governor's office is, no, we can't implement that. No, we can't implement that. I'm sorry, Governor. You got to start trying. And Minnesotans expect that. And that's why I'm here today, to try to find solutions to help these people.
Will there be a special session on exclusively on healthcare? It sounds like the tax bill and the bonding bill are dead.
I'm happy to do one. Yep.
I think it will happen.
I don't know. The governor's actions have given me the ability to come to no other conclusion than to say the governor absolutely does not want a special session. For him to deviate so far from what we talked about 2 weeks ago, and to start throwing in things that we have never discussed, and things that we threw off the table 6 months ago, and new things that were never involved, he has led me to come to no other conclusion than he absolutely does not want a special session. And it's so typical textbook Mark Dayton. I mean, it's absolutely typical textbook. Create a fire, try to put it out, and then blame the other guys for doing it. Sorry. If this last election wasn't a wake-up call for the governor, he maybe does need to step down and move on and let somebody else take the job. People don't like politics as usual. They don't like people standing up blaming people, sending letters off to the Virgin Islands. I mean, yes, funny, haha. Did it help anybody? No. It also didn't get me back here. I was already on a plane. So, and that's fine. I'm happy to do that. But I don't raise an issue when the governor goes to NGA conferences or other things, because you know what? Sometimes that work's important.
Wasn't the timing of this a little bit different than a normal conference, though?
Oh, I would love to say that. I can't go anywhere. I literally feel like I can't leave St. Paul and go home, because we have 2 seasons in St. Paul. It's session and special session negotiations. In the last 2 years, the governor has called for 8 special sessions. 1 has happened. What makes any of us believe that he's actually capable of getting the job done now? What makes this different from the last 6 times that we didn't get a special session, or 7 times that we didn't get a special session? Nothing.
Mr. Speaker, you said the governor should step aside if he can't get this done. Are you again, calling for his resignation if he fails to resolve this issue?
Don't write that headline. The governor and I have a great relationship. We work together well. He frustrates the heck out of me. And it's these sorts of juvenile activities that do it. You guys got to see him storm out of a meeting a couple of weeks ago. I have seen that a dozen times. That's not respectful. That's not the way people should conduct themselves. He is the leader of the state of Minnesota. He should act like it. He created this problem with MNsure, and it's time that he step up and solve it. And the problem isn't just write a check. He knew about this problem in April or May of last year. He didn't tell any of us. He didn't tell us in time that we could have actually done something or passed some laws to affect some change for people on January 1st. And now we're here scrambling at the last minute. You want to know why things happen around here at the last minute? Because Governor Dayton doesn't participate through the process. I want to send a very clear message right now to the governor. Session starts on January 3rd. Make sure that your commissioners and you participate in the legislative process, that you show up in hearings, that you authorize your commissioners to make decisions, because the decisions this year, the bills, the budget setting, all of that's going to happen in committee hearings in front of the public in a transparent fashion. That's what legislative sessions are for. This isn't going to be, legislative session and special negotiation, and that's the only 2 times we have in Minnesota. We're actually going to get our work done in front of Minnesotans in a transparent manner during the session, and the governor's going to participate from day one. I will not respond to brinksmanship tactics in the end of session.
What about today's deadline? There's a couple of hours left. Is it a real deadline? Do we say special session is dead? Can we write that headline? Where are we at?
What Minnesotans don't need is arbitrary deadlines. Yesterday, the governor said we absolutely have to have a deal by 5 o'clock today. Okay, where did that come from? And he said, Melissa Hortman said that if we don't have this by 5 o'clock today, I talked to Melissa Hortman yesterday. Do you know what she said? She said it wasn't a real deadline. She didn't know why the governor said that, and that we had until the end of today to wrap everything up. And that's right. That's what she originally said in the meeting. She said she would like for members to have drafted bills by today in order to read, so that they could make decisions before they had to vote on them. And we all thought that was reasonable, and I do think it's reasonable. But unfortunately,
the only person who call a special session, does he have the right to set a deadline since he's the one who gets to call it?
That's fine. Then what he's telling you is he's not going to call a special session. If he makes that decision, that's fine. I'm going to continue to work for Minnesotans just like I have all along. And I'm going to do it calmly. I'm going to do it respectfully. And you know, I'm not going to play games. I could have come in here with a whole bunch of props this morning and played a bunch of games. And you know what? That's disrespectful to the Minnesotans who are facing, you know, what now will amount up to a cumulative 300% increase in their health care coverage since Governor Dayton sent them on this quest and started this 4 years ago. That's disrespectful. What they want are solutions. You know, I didn't call the governor back yesterday because I was on a damn airplane getting back here so that I could face him face to face. And I called him this morning and I'm waiting for a call back. I know he's on the radio blasting me this morning because I'm in the Virgin Islands. Well, guess what, Governor? I'm not. I'm here. Now what are you going to do? It's time to get to work. Roll up your sleeves and let's solve this. If you're ready to solve it, I'm here and I'm ready, and I'll be here all day.
Mr. Speaker, you criticized the governor for adding new things to the deal at the last minute, but a lot of those were in the bonding bill. Were any of the new things he's added to the health care side of things?
No, he won't add anything to the health care. We've been begging him for months. We wish that he would. I want people, and these are simple things, I want people who are getting life-saving treatment at the Mayo Clinic to be able to continue that on January 1st. The governor's saying no. The governor's saying they can't implement that. I don't care. Figure out a way to do it.
But if you don't do a deal, then they won't be able to continue that anyway. Isn't something better than nothing?
No, it doesn't matter. You just said it. They're not going to be able to do it anyway. If I take his, and that doesn't get implemented for 2 months anyway. There's nothing that will happen if we do a special session to help people on January 1st. Nothing. And that's the governor's best and brightest idea. I think we can do better. And we've been throwing nothing but ideas after him, and all we get is no, no, no. You know, for him to go, I don't know if it was on the radio or in his press conference yesterday, and say that these things that we gave them yesterday as language were new ideas. My God, we've been talking for months about, we've been begging them to do these things. I did it personally. I showed up at a meeting that was a staff level meeting. I think everybody was surprised I was there. The governor wasn't there. I was there because this is a serious issue.
So what is standing between the two of you, policy-wise, between a deal on a special session for health care only?
The governor actually wanting a special session. What the governor wants to do is blame me. But Minnesotans don't buy that. I didn't vote for this crap. I didn't inflict this pain on Minnesotans. And you know what? I'm the one who's actually proposing real solutions that are going to help people who are getting those life-saving treatments at Mayo Clinic continue those on January 1st. The governor is doing nothing and is telling us, no, that can't be done. I want him to stand here or wherever he does his press conferences and tell Minnesotans, I'm sorry, because of what I have done, you will not be able to continue your treatments at Mayo Clinic. Because of the decisions that I have made and the policies that I have pursued, your life-saving cancer treatment at the Mayo Clinic is going to have to end on January 1st. I'm not willing to tell those people that, and I will do everything that I can to help those people until every minute of the clock has run out. And then when the clock resets on January 3rd, you will see the adults, the Republicans, who Minnesotans voted in to fix these problems, step up with real solutions that will actually help Minnesotans, not just write a check. Not just write, I mean, that's the least creative thing that the governor could come up with. And to implement it, by the way, I want you to pay attention to this. He has to do nothing except write a check. All the work is done by the plans. They just let him know how much money they need, and the administration writes a check. He can't do anything more for these people? What are you going to tell people that are going to, on January 1st, they can no longer continue their cancer treatments at the Mayo Clinic? And that's just one example. There are hundreds of people that are in this situation.
Hasn't he continually said that the plans need time to react and that time is slipping away? And so what you're saying, he's countered that already with that explanation.
He has let the time slip away. Continually. This is a pattern. I mean, it started back in April and May when they got the bids back and they realized there was no individual marketplace. They had literally destroyed it. Not a single bid came back in of any insurance company that was going to offer insurance in the state of Minnesota. Not a single one. Who did he tell? Nobody. They tried to cover it up and hide it and make sure that it didn't affect anything in the election. Well, you know what? People found out. But when we found out, it was too late to do anything. They told me that back in October. They said, the plan said, there is nothing you can do to affect coverage on January 1st. Now, I wasn't willing to accept that, but apparently the governor has.
So you were asked about what the policy differences are standing between a deal and healthcare, and you said the governor wanting it. Is the interpretation of that there's not major policy differences here, and it's just a personal?
I don't know.
political
We
dispute?
sent him this language. We've been asking him to do this stuff for months. You know, I also take the governor at his word. He says he supports the tax bill. He says that it's good for Minnesotans. That's what he told me. He said it was better for Minnesotans if we pass it now than to do it later, at a lunch when I contacted him. By the way, Governor, I think you got to work at building relationships. I feel like I should buy the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, and send it over to him. You know, when I call him and I say, hey, Governor, let's have lunch, it's for no reason other than just, hey, let's sit down, man to man, talk, get to know each other, make sure that we actually have a relationship so that when we get in a situation where we need to agree on something, we actually trust each other. The only time I hear from him is after he has sent a letter to you. By the way, the letter he sent to the Virgin Islands somehow mysteriously showed up here. I don't know. I almost think it wasn't meant to get to me there. It was meant for you. But I'll let you know, it's a game. We don't need games. It was funny. Ha ha. I hope his staff enjoyed that laugh. It was very funny. My staff actually laughed about it. We thought it was good. Okay? Touché. But it didn't help one person get health insurance. And that's the problem. All the governor wants to do is blame. And somehow he's trying to convince Minnesotans that it's Republicans' fault. We have been on a 4-year quest on Obamacare and MNsure, and somehow it's my fault? Not a chance. Not a chance. And I'm not willing to tell Minnesotans today that they can't get their life-saving cancer treatments at the Mayo Clinic on January 1st.
Mr. Speaker, will you help us gauge where we're at then? Sounds like you're not willing to give up on special session for health care, but it sounds like the governor did close the door on bonding and tax bill. Have you given up now as well on bonding and tax bill?
He supports Sandpiper Pipeline. He supports mining on the Iron Range. I mean, they voted last week, right, at the DFL convention that they support mining, or at least they didn't oppose it. And then the governor told you yesterday in a press conference that he called Commissioner or Secretary Vilsack and recommended that they don't approve the mining leases up there. I can't make this stuff up. I mean, how I'm going to be a little tough on you. How can you let him get away with telling you something and then doing the exact opposite? You either support mining or you don't. You either want to help. You either accept responsibility for the pain that you're inflicting on Minnesotans that will ratchet up 1,000% on January 1st when they have to drive 80 miles to get to their doctor and they can't, not to get to their doctor, to get to a doctor that will take their money. Or they can't continue their life-saving cancer treatments at the Mayo Clinic. Does he support the tax bill? How many times has he told you and I that he does? How many times has he said in a press conference that the tax bill is a standalone bill? Now all of a sudden it only get the tax bill if you do the bonding bill. You know.
Where are you at, though, Mr. Speaker? That's what. Where are you at? Do you think
Here's
taxes
where
and bonding
I'm at.
are dead? Still
Here's
working
where I'm
on
at. I
healthcare?
still take Governor Mark Dayton at his word that he supports the tax bill, that he supports the bonding bill, and that he wants to help Minnesotans, even though his actions tell me otherwise.
So all three still in play? Maybe
They have
one,
to be.
none? What do you think? Okay.
They have to be.
All three still in play today.
So I will tell you, I'm not optimistic because I believe the governor does not want a special session. And I believe his actions speak that very clearly. He and I, you know, and I don't know if he operates differently than I do, but when I left town, I authorized my committee chairs, and we talked about how this process was going to work. We were going to put people who were the issue area experts in the room and have them work out the details. We set guardrails for them. And then we said, go to work. You know, we want you to come up with a deal that includes the bonding bill, the tax bill, and the health care premium relief. And you know, the governor's letter on Tuesday was so far outside those guardrails. He's got corn stalks over the windshield. It's just not helpful. It's not helpful. And you know what? I'm sorry, but you can't say that you support something and then do everything to stop it from happening. So if folks want someone to blame here, I think they're going to see real easily where the blame should lie. The same person that put them in this problem is the one who has no creativity, or any motivation to try to find a solution to help them out of it. And that's really concerning to me.
The governor said yesterday that you agreed to take the cash out of the bonding bill and all these other things that you say went outside of the parameters or the guardrails. Is it time to start?
No, we said that in the press conference on Tuesday. That was part of the guardrails. And I said I was willing to do it. I think it's smart for the state if we take the $300 million cash. What's so, I mean, this is my life. You guys should be able to figure this out. I'll say it. And tell me if you can figure it out. We're going to take the $300 million cash out of the bonding bill. And we're going to keep the bonding bill at $1 billion. Do you somehow think when I say that we're going to do those $300 million of projects? The governor literally said those words, and then he comes back with, oh, but I got to have every one of my projects. And not only do I have to have every one of them, I have to have additional ones that we haven't even talked about. Some for months, some ever. You know, you want to know what? I feel like the definition of insanity here. I should be banging my head on the wall. But Minnesotans are worth it. And I'm not going to storm out of the room. I know that's what the governor does when he gets frustrated. But Minnesotans deserve better. I mean, how long has he said he doesn't like transportation earmarks? You know what our transportation earmarks are? Things like Highway 212 in the West Metro, the most dangerous stretch of highway in the state of Minnesota. He wants that out. We shouldn't do that. That's an earmark. His offer on Tuesday had his earmarks in. So transportation earmarks are horrible and they should never be in the bill unless he wants them. All of his stuff was still in there. I mean, you can't look at his offer and even with a straight, you know why I didn't respond for 2 days? Because I was dumbfounded. I couldn't believe what I was seeing and hearing. And for anybody to say, or for it should be a red flag when the governor says, I'm negotiating in good faith, I'm sending you this offer. Oh, okay. Red flag. No, you're not. You're literally trying to kill this and blame me for it. I'm sorry.
Mr. Speaker, where did
you get this? Where did you get the? Go ahead.
Is that the governor says that, you know, what he sent you on Tuesday, he felt hewed to the terms that you had said on December 2nd. Is it time to start?
Well, what he said on Tuesday and what he said yesterday didn't even match. He said on Tuesday that I agreed to appropriation bonds. Yesterday he said I didn't say I wouldn't do them. Well, those are two very different things. And I have been consistent for months that we're not doing appropriation bonds. They're not smart. And we don't have the votes to pass them. Okay, if a $1 billion bonding bill isn't good enough for you, I can't help you. It's the largest bonding bill in state history. And I'm offering it to you on a silver platter. And it's not big enough for you? Okay. You can't narrow down your priorities enough to figure out how we could spend $1 billion? Fine. But you know what it means? Walking away from the table, you know what it means? There's not going to be a bonding bill. I don't see a bonding bill this next year if we don't get this one. This is a budget year, and we're going to be focused on the budget. I don't see that happening. And it will set the state back and all of those projects back by 2 years. That's what he's doing. But well, if he thinks that's a great strategy, I think he ought to get some better advisors.
Is it time to start having these conversations in public so the public actually knows what you've agreed?
I would be happy to negotiate with you all in the room, and I know you'd love that too. But whatever.
Where did you get this information that labor has convinced the governor not to have a special session?
From some of my friends on the other side of the aisle. And it's not just a little rumor. It's everywhere. They absolutely do not want a special session. You know what they don't want? They don't want the tax relief. They don't want that money sent back to Minnesotans. Well, okay. You don't want farmers to get property tax relief. You don't want, okay.
He says you don't want special session because business is telling you not to. That's what he said yesterday.
Oh, okay. Well, both of my largest business supporters are telling me they absolutely want the tax bill. They'd like it to be different. It's not the tax bill they would have written. But you know what? I didn't write it for them. I wrote it for Minnesotans. And we did it as a compromise with the Democrats in the Senate, and we sent it to the governor. And the governor says he supports it. So why do I keep bringing it up? I want it to happen.
Mr. Speaker, can you Clarify one other thing,
Yeah.
the governor's office is tweeting right now that you did not call the governor back yet, and you came to talk to us before you talked to the governor.
He should check his voicemail on his cell phone. You want to see the time that I called him? It was at 8:48. I'll show it to you, because I'm not going to play this game. He did it to me once 3 weeks ago, where he said he called me and he never had. Here's his, it's still up there. Don't tweet that out, because that's his cell phone number.
Well, he gives that out. Oh, no, it's the.
And my recent calls, oh, you know what? I called him from my phone upstairs, but it'll be on that phone upstairs. But I looked up the number on here, and that's why the number's still there. So I called him actually it was 8:51 on my phone there, and when I said it to him, I said, Governor, and I'll say you just what I said to him on the message. I said, Governor, this is Kurt Daudt. It's Friday morning at 8:45. I am in my office. I'm ready to start working to help Minnesotans when you're ready to stop blaming people for what's going on. When you're ready to start helping people and stop blaming people, I'm here all day. I'm available by phone. I'm available in person. Give me a call. So if he needs to check his cell phone, his staff needs to stop. Their involvement hasn't been helpful. And, you know, he has a voicemail from me. He can, you know, and he needs to live up to what he says and not let folks talk him out of that. So.
How long do you keep your members in standby mode for the 20th?
Until the 20th? I don't know. I'm not sure. You know, as members are asking me, I'm telling them I'm not real hopeful we're going to have a special session on the 20th. I just don't think the governor is capable of getting there, frankly. So, any other questions? Sounds good. Well, thank you. We'll keep you updated throughout the day if things happen. So I'll be standing by upstairs.
Will you be listening to the press conference at 10:30 or 10:45?
You know, I would suggest the governor probably cancel his press conference and pick up the phone or come on over. I'll be here. If he wants me to come over, I can go there. But it's time to start helping people and stop this stuff. This isn't helpful. And the only reason I'm doing this morning is to show people that I'm here and that I'm ready to work. Otherwise, I wouldn't be having a press conference. I'd be talking to him. But I want people, he has made such an issue out of the fact that I was gone. And notice that his objection and his problems didn't come up until I was in the Virgin Islands. And then it was, you know, I had to race right back. And I'm happy to do that. I'm happy to do that. But I don't make a political issue when the governor's in Puerto Rico for NGA or Puerto Rico or wherever you know, his NGA meetings are or DGA. And he goes to those. And he should. They're important. It's important for a governor to talk to other governors and you know, figure out how they're solving the same problems that we're dealing with here. I think those things are important. And that's fine. I'm happy to, I don't need to be at that meeting. I can be here. This is more important. But I had actually authorized our chairs and other people, after we set guardrails, to do that. The governor knew that. I don't know if he didn't authorize his people, but I authorized mine. They were authorized to get to an agreement within those guardrails. I didn't go outside the guardrails, the governor is. So, you know, he can try to blame me all he wants, but I'm here and ready to work.